Guys, if you like my content, please like, share, and subscribe. And with that, we'll start. In my last video, I talked about lists. In this video, I'll talk about tuples, dictionary, and set. So these are also data types that Python is offering along with lists. So I'll start with what is tuple and why we need it. So now I'm in my Jupyter notebook and I'll try to explain what is tuple. So tuple is very similar to lists. It contains n number of items. It can contain n number of items, and it can be a mix of any data types. That is, it can be a mix of int, float, string, everything. But where it differs from list is tuples cannot be changed. It is immutable. So whatever tuples you will define at the very first of your program, it cannot be changed during. So how you can use tuples in your Python program? So you can say if you try to define tuples in your Python, you can just say like this, the parenthesis, and you can say 1 2 3. So as you can see that A is now a tuple. So if you try to see the type of A, you will see that it's a tuple, and this is also ordered as we saw in the list as well. So if you try to fetch A0, you should get 1. But unlike list, you cannot change this assignment from 1 to some other value. If you try to do that, maybe 5, so it's not 5 anyway because I'm checking. But if you try to assign some other value, let's say 5, you will see that tuple object doesn't support item assignment. So that means you cannot change the value of tuples, the index value, the item inside tuples. So that is basically what tuple is. But where do you need tuple? So you can think of many cases where we might use tuple. So if you foresee a kind of situation where in your program you have to define a set of variables, but you don't want to change that. It's a kind of a constant in your program. It will act like a constant in your program. In that case, you can use a tuple. Or you defined a method in your program, but while returning, if you return the parameters of that function as a tuple, that is a good practice. So in that way, the returning parameter cannot be changed anyway. But it's a good practice that if you can use tuple to return your parameters. So we will discuss now what are the methods that tuple is having in Python. So for that you can just do a dot and do a tab. So you can see that tuple has this count and index method. So if you do count and if you try to pass maybe the item 2, you will see that 1. So this item occurs one time in that tuple A. So if you try to see, it's similar to lists as well. So if you try to see 1 2 4 1 and 5, now if you try to count the occurrence of A, it will be 2, right? So that's the count that you can use on tuple. Now if you try to see the index, now suppose you want to see the index of 4, so you can just pass 4 and you can see that the index of 4, element 4 is 2, right? Because the Python indexing starts from 0, so it's 0 1 and then it's 2. So basically these are the two methods that you can use on tuple, but there are some generic methods that Python offers that can be used on tuple as well, like max, mean, length. So if you try to len and try to see the length of b, you'll see that it's 5, right? 1 2 3 4 5. If you try to check the maximum of the tuple elements, so you can see it's 5. This is the 5, right? So this is the number of elements, this is the highest element. And similarly, if you try to see the minimum of b, you'll see that it's 1. So this is basically tuples, and definitely the way you sliced lists in our last video, the same way you can slice tuples as well. So if you try to only if you try to check for the first 3 value, if you have to retrieve, then you can just say colon 2. So we'll get from 0 and 1, right? Because 2 is exclusive. So if you try to get 4 as well, so you have to pass 3 here. You'll get 1 2 and 4. So you can slice it, but you cannot, again, you cannot assign, because tuples don't support item assignment. Correct. So that's it for tuples. Now we'll move to dictionary. This dictionary is very important in Python. So hear me out very carefully. So what is dictionary? So dictionary is nothing but a key value pair. Okay. So you can store some values in dictionary against some key. Okay. Say if you want to define a dictionary, you can just say this, and this will treat, Python will treat this 2 brackets as a dictionary. So B will be an empty dictionary. Now similarly, this bracket tells that it is a tuple. And similarly, the third bracket, that is a square bracket, tells that it is a list. So if you define this way, so it will be already a dictionary. So now if you try to see the type of B, you'll see that it's a text. Now we'll try to define a new dictionary. Say key 1 will be my key, and the value will be value 1. So you can define a n number of key value pair and store it in a dictionary. So you can also say key 2 and say value 2. So this key 1 and key 2, if you try to see a real life example, it can be your roll number, and this value can be your marks. Okay, so it's a kind of a table. Okay, so you can think of dictionary as a table as well, where key is, let's say, id, roll number, and value will be your marks or any other thing. That way you can store this key value pair in your dictionary. But remember very carefully that dictionary is unordered. Unlike tuples and lists, dictionary is unordered. In order to fetch or access the value of the dictionaries, you have to use your key. Only that way you will be able to get to the value of the dictionaries. So suppose now you have to access the value of key 1. So what you can do, you can just say key 1, and it will print you the value of the key 1. So let's say you want to define another D2 as a new dictionary, which will the key will be red, and let's say the value is apple. Let's say if the key is green, and I'm storing value as guava. Okay, so now if you try to see what are the red fruits we have, you'll see apple. Okay, now you can use dictionary name, that is d2.keys, to fetch the key of the dictionary. So if you do this, you will see that red and green. So the return parameter is red and green. This is not a list, but you can iterate on them. This is iterable, but also you can return d2.keys as list as well. So for that you have to just modify them with the list. So you'll get a list of red and green. So this way you are getting the key values. Key. Now if you have to get the values in a list, similar function is values. You will get all the values that are stored in the dictionary d2. Now if you want both of them at the same time, you can do d2 dot items. You will get the combination of all the key value pair. Right. Now if you want to add a new element in the dictionary, what you can do, you can just say d2 dot maybe violet equals to anything. You can say berry. Okay, so now Python will check whether this key exists in d2. If it's not, it will add it. So now if you try to see the items, you'll see that it has been added. Very cool, right? Yes. So here you are getting the value using the key, right? So this is a way of accessing the value, and another way is d2 dot get. Here also using violet will get the value. But what's the difference between this and this? So here the difference is you can specify another parameter inside get. So if you try to see the signature of get by doing shift tab, you'll see that default equals to none. So you can specify this default parameter. So suppose I want to find the d2.get violet 1. Okay, and if I specify default as, okay, so what Python will do now, Python will search for this violet 1 in this dictionary, and since violet 1 is not there, it will return this abc. It will return abc because this key is not present in the original dictionary. Right. Now very important, one more method is update. Okay, so suppose you want to define another dictionary, let's say red, and it is, we have apple already, I'll say lychee. Okay, and I'll have one more key that is yellow, the value is mango. Okay, so I defined another variable, another dictionary, and now I want to do d2 dot update d3. Okay, so what will happen here? So here Python will check whether d2 contains any of the key that is present in d3. So red, yes, it's present, so it will update the value. So now apple will no longer be here in d2, but for the next key yellow is not there in D2, right? And it will add it to D2. So let's see. Now if you try to print, you'll see that red is now lychee and yellow has been added. Correct. Now there are 2-3 more methods that I'll show you that are also very important. One is pop. If you want to pop, let's say this key red, what it will do, it will delete this key and it will return the value apple. Sorry, here in this case now lychee. Okay, so it will return lychee. But if you see the D2 now, this key value pair no longer there in the dictionary. Right? So pop is this, and we have pop item as well. D2 pop item. So again, if you do not pass anything, then it will just do the last popping, and it will return both as a tuple. So this is pop item. Now you have copy as well. You can do d4 equals to d2 dot copy, and if you see the d4, it returns the green and violet. Now since we did pop item for yellow and mango, it's not there anymore. So this has been copied to d4. And also you can do clear as well, d4 dot clear. Now if you see d4, it has been cleared. So it's an empty dictionary. Correct. So that's it. We have dictionary covered, and we have one more very important method which is built-in type, which we call as sets. So sets, I'll change it to markdown. I'll rename it sets. So sets. So what is sets? Sets again, it's unordered, it's unchangeable, and it's also will not allow any duplicate values. So if you try to see, the sets will be defined as a, again, this curly bracket, but here you don't have a key value pair of things, right? You have 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you now try to see the type of S, you'll see that it's a set data type. So it's unordered, so you cannot like say S0 or something. Okay, it is not changeable as well, so you cannot change the value of S, the index value, the elements of S, you cannot overwrite. And also this sets not allow any duplicates. So if you want to see S1 as something like this, 1 1 2 3 4 4 4 4 4 5 6, and if you run it now, if you try to print it, you'll see that only the unique values are coming. So the duplicates have been removed by Python. So set is like that. It's unordered, it's unchangeable, and duplicates will not be allowed. So sets, again, you can have these many operations that you can do on sets, that is intersection, or so there are like lots of methods that is inbuilt in sets that you can follow. Okay, so now we will try to find out the methods that we can use on sets. So what are the methods provided by Python on sets? So now if I try to add one more element to sets, I can just say s1 dot add 7, and if I try to see it, will say that 7 has been added. So now you can have one more set, say S2, which is 4, 5, 6, and then maybe 9, 10. Okay. So now you can find out the difference of S1 and S2. So if you just do S1 dot difference S2, so it will only tell you the difference that you have, like, so in 4, 5, 6 is common, right? So the difference is 1, 2, 3 and 7 with respect to S1. So it will print 1, 2, 3 and 7. Similarly, if you do the other way around, 7 S2 dot difference S1, it should say 9 and 10, right? So this is the thing. Now you can do one more thing, like if you want to update the existing set with the difference value. So if you want to update S1 from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the only difference value of S2. So you can just do this difference and difference update and do S2. So now if you see S1, it should be 1, 2, 3 and 7, right? Yes, it has been updated. Similarly, now we have S1 as this, S2 as this. So we don't have any common value, right? So say suppose I'll take one more set as 5, 6, 9 and 11. So now if you want to see the intersection of S2 intersection S3, you will see the only the common values like 5, 6 and 9, right? And similarly you can do the intersection update as well, similar to difference update. So it will update S2 with the intersection values. Okay. Now you can check for subset and superset. So like if you have a set called S1, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and S2 is equals to 2, 3, 4. If you want to check S1 is superset superset of S2, it will say true. Similarly, if you want to check S2 is subset of S1, it should return true as well. But if you have a S3 set which has 2, 3, 4 but 11 as well, so this 11 is not belong to this S1, right? So S3 dot sub is subset S1 should be false, right? Yeah. And also you have union. So if you have S1 and S2, let's say we have S1 as 1, 2, 3 and S2 as 3, 4, 5 and 6. So if you do S1 dot union S2, what should return? So Python should return 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Correct? You have update as well. So if you want to update, maybe say, so you have another set, it is 9 when 13, and if you want to update S1 with S3, sorry, S1 dot up, okay, well, say S1 dot update S3, you will see that S1 dot update S3 is 1, 2, 3 and 9, 11, 13. 1, 2, 3, sorry, I'll just print 1, 2, 3 and 9, 11, 13. So these are some basic methods that you can use on sets, but these built-in data types are very important. You should know about this. Thank you very much. We'll meet in the next video. Thank you.